Could that be a struggle for some parents to maybe understand that the title of a parent doesn't automatically mean that you're going to get the respect that you think you're going to get or the love that you're going to get? You have to work towards it, just like how your children will work towards getting it in life as they get older.
Um, what I would say is that, for some people that might be a problematic statement. But I would challenge that with, where is your ego and where is your need to have control and how is that working for you? So in other words, we always back it up to goals. What are your goals with your child and your relationship? So if you're okay with being an authority figure that doesn't have that loving connection or that trust, but you are authoritative and you're like you'll be home at this time and I don't care what you say about it, and if you're going to be like that and you think that is the way to parent, you know if you don't see that as a problem with the relationship you're building with your child, I don't know how I can get through to you, but I have to ask you, what kind of relationship do you want to have with this person? Do you think this person is going to call you, include you in their life, come over and cook out and barbecue with you and make time? And I'm now at that point where my kids are over 20, and it is remarkable the wonderful heartfelt felt notes I get for Mother's Day, the wisdom that I've shared that has carried through in their decision making, the literally clearing their calendars for either our visit or them to come home, and that family connection, that family time, that was hard fought for and built in. And that doesn't just happen. So if a parent is going to continue to be authoritative, I would say, what in your ego is preventing you from being vulnerable with your child or having your child see you for the person that you are, I have an example about lying. My mom was, a phenomenal mom, but way back in the day, and you had said you thought we were a similar age. That's completely very kind of you, but yeah, I lap you a couple times. Okay, so my mom was way back, in the old days, and she was very, very controlling and very, you know, spying on me, or whatever, and very judgy but very controlling. And I lied all the time. And when I had my own kids, I was like, why did I always lie to my mom? Because I don't want my kids to do that to me. And I sat with myself and realized, it was about control. So if you're a parent who is going to be controlling and not think that your child has a single thing to offer or does not have a valuable opinion, and you're not going to solicit your child's feelings, thoughts, and opinions, and you're just going to be the authoritative parent, you'll be lied to. And why? Because in my case, I was the only control that I had was to manipulate the narrative and lie to my mom, because I was like, okay, I'm reading you. I know what you need to hear. So I'm gonna really sell it, and then I'm gonna go do what I want to do. So what in essence, a controlling parent is not somebody being brought into the inners of my life. I'm not sharing anything vulnerable with you, because I don't trust you. So that's kind of a way to look at it too. And I guess the parent has to have a level of care toward that. They have to care that that's not what they want before they're going to be willing to change.
Yeah, I'm looking back at my relation with my parents because I was raised by my grandmother. I didn't know my parents until later on. And there was definitely what you described where there was a lack of trust because there are times where I would just tell them what I wanted to hear. And as I grew up,
Hmm.
after me telling the truth, like in my life to people around me, if they didn't believe, I was like, you know what, let me just tell people what they want to hear, right? And it's funny how I'm looking back, it's interesting how your childhood impacts you in so many different
Everything.
ways.
It's everything. Parenting is everything. The little people that we are in charge of, that we are investing in and teaching and training, affects everything in society. I mean, you know, it just does. It's everything. And why are we not doing a more standardized parenting course, class, certification, whatever? Why? I'll never forget leaving the hospital with our firstborn. Like, what am I supposed to do with this kid? You're just handing me this baby? Like, I don't know what to do. How is it that one of the most important things in the world, the most important roles, and I'm not even saying that if you're not a parent that you're not valuable. What I'm saying is that if you choose to have a child and you are taking on that role, well, you better be prepared. That's a really important role. But yeah, that's you're exactly right. That's exactly what happens. And sometimes I do have a hard time, especially with dads, when I'm working with dads that feel like, well, I they need to do what I'm telling them. Oh, I'm like, okay, well, what are your is this a kid that you want to go play ball with? Is this a guy that you want to call you up to go watch the game when he's 20? Is this a guy who you want to bring his girlfriend home and be like, "Hey dad, what do you think?" Do you want to be in the circle of trust with your kid? You got to earn it.
When you mentioned the ball games, I didn't have the best relationship with my parents, and as I got older, I realized I need to do some work to resolve that.
Mm,
So I think sometimes it could be both sides, right? The parent
sure.
and the child. What I did, and I shared this with my partner, and she was so mad, but I started buying soccer season tickets to soccer games here in Canada to go with my father. Because growing up, I played a lot of sports. My parents didn't come to any of the games except for one. And Sue, let me tell you, that one game they came to, it was so awkward and uncomfortable. We got blown out. My worst
Ooh,
game ever. Because when you're not used to having someone there and they're
I
there,
yeah,
it's right, right? So I bought
yeah.
these tickets hoping to go with my father to these games. The first year, I went to the games, he didn't go. He always had a reason that he couldn't make it. Second year, same thing. So I was like, you know what? He doesn't want to spend the time, which is
Mm.
fine. What I realized based on what you're saying now is that some people, whether you're parent or not, they're okay with having a very minimal relationship with you, right? Regardless of the amount of effort the other person's putting into. And when I look at parents, and maybe this is anecdotal, I always thought that they should be putting as much effort into the relationship with their children because later on, to your point, right, you want that happy Father's Day, happy Mother's Day, you want that type of relationship. When you're working with the parents, do you see some of them being okay with the relationship staying on maybe a basic level, regardless of how little results that they get from it?
A lot of the times, the parents that are seeking help or coaching do want a better relationship with their kids. I'm not seeing a whole lot of that. What I do see in general, and again, this is a generalization, um, and people listening can argue with me or be offended. I don't care. It's what I see. Is that there's just a tremendous amount of selfishness out there. And there's a lot of just like if you were to do in business, you look up keywords, right? So you want to do your marketing and you're like, okay, I'm going to hone in on my keywords and what are people Googling? What are people looking for? Do you want to know the sad thing? A lot of people are Googling, like some of the biggest numbers are like, am I a bad mom? Am I just a lot of stuff about like me, and not about the benefit of my child. It's a lot about me um and I don't blame them necessarily because you always gotta go, how were you raised? Now, a guy like you've just got this introspection and this spirituality, and you've got this built-in accountability for yourself that not a lot of people have. So you are going to look inside, and you extended an olive branch to your father to then just be let down yet again. And you are the one that is always looking in and going, hey, we're 50-50 here. Maybe I can make a change, whatever. So power to you for that. But there are a lot of people out there that just don't like either they were raised with parents that were selfish or maybe they were divorced and they were only cared about their dating life and never the kid and shuttling the kid back and forth. They never put the kid first. And now that kid is a parent and now they were never invested in, so they don't know to invest in another. And there's a variety of things that go on, but I do see an inherent selfishness with with some parents that just don't want to invest in and it's exhausting. You go to bed exhausted. You're spent. I blew my adrenals, okay, running a business and raising four children, especially with three at the same age. I'm not kidding. I took the hits. Um, because I'm a mom, I'm empathetic and I feel what my kids are feeling and I'm very involved and I got my finger on the pulse of everything. And I'm making sure, we show up to games on time, whatever we're doing. Um, that does take a toll. Okay. You're exhausted. Parenting is exhausting. It's the hardest job that you are not paid for, in monetary currency. But, um, I do see like an overarching selfishness that goes on with people. And again, it's not to say that, you yourself are selfish. I do say maybe you were never invested in. And now you don't care about the relationship because nobody cared about their relationship with you.